Morning, guys. It should be Tuesday the 12th. Posting your stuff here for environmental science. One way that I'm just going to go ahead and kind of talk about how I'm going to do this stuff in my classroom throughout this week, and hopefully just this week. I want you to watch this YouTube video, which is not going to be very long. It goes along with these notes. I will also post these notes. Then you'll take these notes and you will complete your air pollution chart. So we're kind of getting into air pollution, getting into climate change. This is where we'll spend for about the next month or so. Very, very important unit for this, for what we're going over right now. So you're going to watch these, but first, like I said, watch the YouTube video. Once you watch the YouTube video, you'll see the notes. I'll post the notes. I want you to log on to the Zoom so we can kind of call roll that way. If you have any questions, I'll answer your questions there. And then if you don't have any questions, then you'll complete your assignment. I'll stay on the Zoom. You can ask me questions as you complete the assignment, and then we'll go from there. You'll turn it in. You'll do the same thing on Thursday for your class. And Thursday's assignment will be due on Sunday. So this assignment will be due Wednesday night by midnight, and then the second assignment will be, I'll make it due by Sunday night at midnight. So here we are, talking about air pollution. Through that air pollution chart, you're going to have some different chemicals that we have to make sure that we understand what they are. The first one is nitrogen dioxide, NO2. Like it says there, it's an irritating gas that gives photochemical smog. It's brownish colored. It gets converted into nitric acid. And anytime we have anything that's converted into nitric acid, the acid there we know is not going to be good. You think about acid rain. Okay, you're going to get deterioration of buildings. You're going to get deterioration of different types of infrastructure that people rely on. The major human source, though, like it says there, is fossil fuel burning in motor vehicles. 49% produce nitric dioxide. Now, our catalytic converters are one thing that help us reduce this, but there are still forms of the nitric dioxide that make it out of our tailpipes. Industrial plants, 49%. So you see, that's the biggest part of it. 98% of it comes from fossil fuel burning in our vehicles, so the gas burning in our vehicles, and also the power of industrial plants. Some health effects. Lung irritation and damage, you're going to see that. If you have asthma, it can really aggravate that. Some environmental effects, it's going to reduce our visibility. You get the deposits of acid that build up. You get where it can damage some trees. We'll show you when you get back some pictures of some trees throughout the world where they have this acid damage and kind of how they lean, they turn this reddish brown color. A lot of times it happens to pines, so you'll see some of that. And also there it says that we can corrode metals and eat away at stone buildings or statues, monuments. Like it says there, can damage fabrics. So that's the first one, nitrogen dioxide. The second one, which is I'm going to do a separate video on, is ozone. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this because that'll be the next little video I make for Thursday. But ozone is O3. Ozone is what protects us from the UV rays from the sun. There is a hole in the ozone every year during the summertime, during the summer months of, it would be our winter time versus the southern hemisphere's summertime. And it happens over the Antarctic, and it happens over parts of South America. We know some different things that can destroy this ozone, but we do know that in the past 15 years, the ozone layer, we've done a much better job of it because of some of the different chemicals that we've gotten rid of in production that harm our ozone, that break our ozone layer down. So it's highly reactive, irritating gas with an unpleasant odor that forms in the troposphere as a major component of photochemical smog. So it's in the second layer of our atmosphere. Some human sources, like it says there, chemical reaction of volatile organic compounds, VOX. You've got emitted mostly by cars and industries, and those VOX are just going to be those highly poisonous gases that we cannot see. You get nitrogen oxides that form photochemical smog, which happens a lot of times in big cities. Like when you see what we talked about this before we left, talking about smog being like a hazy type thing. It looks a lot like fog, but it's just chemicals in the air. Some of our health effects, again, it's going to cause breathing problems, coughing, eye, nose, and throat irritation. It can aggravate chronic diseases such as asthma, bronchitis, heart disease. So it can do a lot of things. Some of the effects, environmental impacts, ozone can damage our plants and our trees. It can reduce our visibility, and it can damage rubber, fabrics, or paints. Next thing is sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide happens a lot with our industries. It's a colorless, irritating, and it forms mostly from the combustion of sulfur-containing fossil fuels such as coal and oil in the atmosphere. It converts into sulfuric acid. Again, if it converts into an acid, we know those deposits of the acid are not going to be good for us. Our major burning source is coal. This is one reason you're seeing coal is kind of becoming a thing of the past. We have a lot of coal here in the United States, and it's making people lose a lot of jobs. It's making people lose a lot of jobs, though, in return because of the sulfuric acid and the sulfur dioxides that it's creating. Industrial processes only produce the other 10%. Health effects, again, it's more breathing problems. You got to think about this. This is everything we're breathing in, so it's going to have a direct effect on your lungs. We do know with COVID that all of this has went down in the past year because people are not working as much. People are not going outside as much. But we do believe that we will see all these numbers skyrocket when we come out of this pandemic because people are going to be working like crazy. They're going to be producing all kinds of stuff. And we do believe these different chemicals are going to go back through the roof. Some environmental impacts, we reduce our visibility. Excuse me. The deposition of the sulfuric acid damage trees and soils and aquatic life in lakes. Some of the different things it can do. It can eat away at metals. It can eat away at stone. It can damage paint, paper, and leather. The next one is carbon monoxide, CO. Biggest producer is our vehicles. You see too, one of the major human sources, cigarette smoking, incomplete burning of fossil fuels, which comes from when we burn gas, and 77% of this comes from our motor vehicles. It's colorless and odorless also. It is something that we know that we put off carbon dioxide. You're taking oxygen away, you get carbon monoxide. But we know this is produced. We know our catalytic converters produces carbon monoxide into CO2. So some of our health effects here, it reacts with hemoglobin and red blood cells and reduces the ability of blood to bring oxygen to the body cells and the tissues. And then the last one is going to be lead. There's two more. We got lead and particulate matter. Lead, we don't see lead as much anymore because you don't have lead in paint anymore. Batteries, you don't see lead in batteries a whole lot. We don't use leaded gasoline, so lead is not as big of a deal anymore. Now, it used to be, because lead can really affect somebody's brain, it can really affect your nervous system, it can cause a lot of health problems, but you don't see lead-based paints anymore. You don't see lead-based metals. You don't see batteries. You don't have leaded gasoline anymore. It's all unleaded. When you go to the gas station, you buy the 87 gas, it's unleaded gas. The last one though, suspended particulate matter. These are the VOCs here, okay? These are the ones that, with the suspended particulate matter, they're too small. Like it says, a variety of particles and droplets, small and light enough to remain suspended in the atmosphere for short periods to long periods of time. They cause smoke, dust, and haze. Some of our major things, coal and power and industrial plants, like we said, we can produce a lot of it, and this is just causing a lot of environmental problems, which you're also going to see when they start taking this stuff away. A reduction in jobs. Like my dad has his own machine shop and he does a lot of work for coal power plants, and it's really beginning to affect him as he sees these coal power plants being shut down. Environmental effects, reduced visibility. You get the H2SO4 again, sulfuric acid. It can damage those trees, corrode metals, discolor buildings, clothing, fabrics, and paint. So all this stuff really affects everything the same. So we have to be able to distinguish between the different things, what are we producing the most of, and figure out how to not produce as much of it, but yet still have jobs and still have ways to be able to live our daily lives without harming the environment. So I'm going to post this too, and now I want you to log on to Zoom. If you have any questions, then I want you to, once you've logged on to the Zoom, then I would love for you to go complete this by Wednesday night at midnight. Thanks.